Hello everyone, welcome to Sam's Summaries. This episode is a deep dive discussion into Sam Fury's summary of Chapter 4 from the book Models by Mark Manson. It has been created with the help of AI. The chapter is titled Polarization. You can read the original post at samfury.com.
Hey everyone, welcome back. We're doing a deep dive today into Models by Mark Manson.
Oh, cool.
Specifically Chapter 4, which is all about polarization.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you had a chance to check it out?
Yeah, I've read that one.
Awesome. So, dating can be kind of a confusing game sometimes, and Manson just cuts right through all the BS and offers just like a refreshingly honest take on attraction and authenticity.
Yeah.
We're going to unpack his strategies for like screening potential partners.
Okay.
Reframing how we think about rejection and ultimately like finding genuine connection.
Awesome. Yeah. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah. So what I thought was really interesting about Manson's approach is that he really emphasizes being proactive and intentional about dating.
Yeah.
He doesn't shy away from the fact that dating involves making choices.
Right.
And that not everyone is going to be a good fit for you.
Right.
So he encourages us to get clear about what we truly desire in a partner and use that knowledge to filter out incompatible matches early on.
Yeah,
which
that makes sense.
Yeah, and he even gives us a super specific tool to help with this.
Oh, okay.
He says to try asking, what's your favorite thing in the world? As like an opening line.
As an opening line. Wow.
It might sound a little unconventional, I know.
It does.
But it's actually brilliant in its simplicity.
I can see that, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a great way to gauge someone's passion and self-awareness right away.
Right.
Like if they can't even answer or if they seem indifferent, that tells you a lot. But
Right.
if they light up and they share something they're really excited about, that's a good sign.
Totally.
They'll probably bring that energy to the relationship too.
It's like a sneak peek into their soul, right?
Yeah.
You can kind of see right away
Yeah, totally.
if you have any shared interests.
That's true,
Like if you're both passionate about rock climbing or, vintage comic books or whatever,
Sure,
that's a potential point of connection that you can explore further.
Exactly, yeah.
But this is all about screening, right? Manson's whole philosophy
Mm-hmm.
revolves around this idea of being selective
Yeah.
and not wasting time on people who aren't a good fit.
Right.
And that kind of brings us to one of his most controversial yet liberating concepts, which is embracing rejection.
Embracing rejection.
I've got to admit, when I first read this part, I was kind of taken aback.
Really?
Isn't the whole point of dating to
Yeah. To avoid
rejection?
Totally.
How could embracing it possibly be a good thing?
Right. It seems counterintuitive.
Totally.
Well, he basically flips the script on how we normally think about rejection.
Okay.
He sees it as a tool almost, like a filter.
Interesting.
That helps us get closer to finding the right person.
Okay.
When someone rejects us, they're doing us a favor. They're taking themselves out of our dating pool, saving us from potentially wasting time and energy on a relationship that wouldn't have worked anyway.
So instead of seeing it as a personal failure,
Right.
we should see it as a sign that we're one step closer to finding someone who actually appreciates us
Exactly.
for who we are.
It's a total shift in perspective
Yeah.
that can be so freeing.
Yeah.
When you embrace rejection as part of the process, it takes the pressure off.
Right.
It allows you to be more authentic.
Yeah. That makes sense.
That's in interactions.
But how do we actually get over that fear of rejection?
Right.
I mean, it's so ingrained in us to want to be liked and accepted.
Of course.
It's tough.
It's definitely a challenge, but I think it starts with understanding that attraction is a really complex thing.
Fact.
It's not always about you or something you did wrong.
Right.
Sometimes it's just chemistry or
Sure.
timing or individual preferences. Yeah.
That are totally out of your control.
Like you can't force it.
You can't force it.
Yeah.
It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Exactly.
Sometimes no matter how hard you try, it's just not going to work.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's actually better to acknowledge that early on than to try to force something that's not there.
Right.
And,
Okay, so we've talked about screening for compatibility
Yeah.
and embracing rejection, but Manson takes it a step further
Okay.
by categorizing women into 3 types.
Okay.
Unreceptive, receptive, and neutral.
Right.
I'm a little hesitant to put people into boxes like this.
Yeah, get that.
But I'm curious to hear more about his reasoning.
I understand. It's important to remember that these categories are just like a framework for understanding different levels of interest.
Yeah.
They're not meant to be like rigid labels or anything like that.
Yeah. So let's start with the most straightforward category. Unreceptive women.
Okay.
Manson defines them as women who are just not sexually attracted to you.
Okay.
He's pretty blunt about his advice here. Just move on.
Oh, wow.
Don't waste your time trying to change their mind or win them over.
Okay.
Recognize the signs, like they're not reciprocating. They seem disinterested.
Yeah.
Maybe they even mention a boyfriend and just gracefully bow out.
So no grand gestures.
Yeah.
No elaborate attempts to win their affection.
Nope.
Just accept it and move on.
Exactly. It might feel counterintuitive, especially because we're used to all those Hollywood rom-coms where persistence always wins.
Yeah.
But in real life, trying to convince someone who's not interested will probably just lead to frustration and heartache.
For both people.
For both people, yeah.
And it also takes away from the opportunity to connect with someone who's genuinely interested.
Exactly.
It's like you're holding onto a closed door.
Yeah.
When there's so many other doors just waiting to be opened.
That's a great analogy.
So speaking of doors waiting to be opened.
Okay.
Let's move on to the next category. Receptive women.
Okay.
These are the women who are receptive.
They're into you.
Yeah.
They're attracted to you. They're flirting back.
Okay.
Maybe even initiating physical contact.
So these are like clear signs of interest?
Yes.
But how do we know for sure, especially in those early stages of dating?
Well, Manson suggests paying attention to both verbal and nonverbal cues.
Okay.
Strong eye contact. Finding excuses to be near you, laughing at your jokes.
Even the bad ones?
Even the bad ones. Wow. Initiating physical touch. These are all good signs.
Okay, but how do we differentiate between, like, friendly gestures and genuine romantic interest?
Yeah.
I mean, some people are just naturally more tactile or outgoing.
Yeah, that's true.
And that doesn't necessarily mean they're attracted to you.
You're right. Context is everything.
Yeah.
It's about looking for a cluster of signals. Not just relying on one single gesture.
Right.
And it's also about paying attention to how they respond to your advances. If you make a move and they reciprocate or even escalate things further, that's a pretty good indicator that they're feeling it too.
So it's like a subtle dance of attraction. Looking for those moments of mutual connection.
Exactly.
Okay, so that brings us to like the most intriguing and perhaps the most challenging category.
Okay.
Neutral women. I'm already feeling a little lost here.
Yeah.
What exactly does it mean for a woman to be neutral?
Right.
Is she on the fence?
That's a good question.
Is she playing hard to get?
I don't think it's about playing games.
Okay.
It's more about taking time to process and assess compatibility. Manson says that unlike men who tend to make decisions about attraction more quickly, women often need more information and interaction before they can decide if they're interested.
So they're not necessarily saying no, but they're also not giving a definitive yes.
Yeah.
There's somewhere in between. Gathering data, trying to figure out where they stand.
Exactly.
And it's in this neutral phase where Manson introduces one of his most powerful concepts.
Okay.
Polarizing.
Polarizing.
Okay. I'm intrigued, but also a little apprehensive.
Yeah.
Polarizing sounds kind of intense.
I know, right?
What exactly does that involve?
Okay.
And how does it apply to this neutral zone?
It's not as scary as it sounds, essentially.
Okay.
Polarizing means taking actions that reveal your true feelings and get a clear response. Instead of trying to be everyone's cup of tea and playing it safe, you're being authentically you.
Yeah.
Even if it means some people won't be into it.
So it's about being bold?
Yeah.
Expressing your opinions, sharing your passions, basically letting your personality shine through.
Exactly.
Even if it risks turning some people off.
Yeah. You're not for everyone.
Right.
And that's okay.
And this is where Manson's advice gets really interesting.
Okay.
And potentially challenging for those of us who are used to playing it safe.
Right.
He argues that the key to moving a woman from neutral to receptive is to polarize her.
Interesting.
Okay, I'm definitely going to need you to break this down for me.
Okay.
How exactly do we polarize someone? Especially if they're already on the fence.
Right.
And why is this so effective?
Okay, well, think of it this way. When you're trying to be everyone's cup of tea, you kind of dilute your own essence.
Okay.
You're not giving people a clear picture of who you truly are.
Right.
And you're not allowing them to fully connect with you.
So instead of trying to appeal to everyone, we should be focusing on attracting people who resonate with our authentic selves, even if it means repelling those who don't.
It's about being unapologetically yourself and trusting that the right people will gravitate towards that.
So it's about embracing the power of authenticity and recognizing that true connection can only happen when we're willing to be vulnerable and show our true colors.
I love that.
This is all incredibly insightful.
Yeah.
But I'm still curious to hear more about the practical side of polarizing.
Okay.
Like, what are some specific examples of how we can implement this concept in our interactions with potential partners?
One of the most effective ways to polarize is to just express your opinions openly and honestly.
Okay.
Even if they're controversial or unconventional.
So don't be afraid to challenge the status quo, engage in lively debates, and share your unique perspective.
Exactly.
So instead of just trying to agree with everything someone says, we should be willing to respectfully disagree or offer a different point of view.
Absolutely.
Okay, but what if we disagree with something that's really important to the other person?
Right.
Won't that just create conflict and push them away?
It's definitely a balancing act.
Okay.
The key is to express your opinions respectfully.
Right.
And be considerate of their feelings.
Right.
You're not trying to start an argument or prove them wrong.
Right.
You're simply sharing your perspective and inviting them to do the same.
So it's about fostering a dynamic exchange of ideas.
Yes.
Even if those ideas don't always align perfectly.
Exactly.
And it also helps you assess if you're truly compatible on a deeper level.
Right.
If you can't have a respectful disagreement about something, it might be a sign that your values and perspectives are just too far apart.
That's a great point.
And polarizing isn't just about expressing your opinions. It's also about sharing your passions and interests.
Yes.
Even if they're a little quirky or outside the mainstream.
Yeah, don't be afraid to talk about the things that light you up. Even if you think they might seem weird or boring to the other person.
So if I'm obsessed with collecting antique doorknobs or breeding exotic butterflies, I should just put it out there.
Put it out there.
And see if the other person is intrigued or repulsed.
Exactly.
And you might be surprised by how often your passions can spark curiosity and connection, even if they initially seem unconventional.
Absolutely.
It's like you're giving people a glimpse into your unique world and inviting them to share in your enthusiasm.
Exactly.
But the goal isn't to force your passions onto someone or try to convert them to your way of thinking.
You're just creating a space where you can both be yourselves and see if your interests and energies align.
Okay, so we've talked about expressing opinions and sharing passions. Any other practical tips for polarizing in the realm of dating?
Another powerful technique is to engage in playful teasing or banter. Don't be afraid to poke fun at each other, challenge each other's assumptions, and create a sense of lighthearted competition.
But how do we tease someone without coming across as mean or offensive?
Right.
Especially in those early stages.
Yeah, that's a good question.
When you're still trying to make a good impression.
It's all about finding that sweet spot between playful and disrespectful.
Okay.
The key is to tease with a smile and a twinkle in your eye. You know, make it clear that you're not trying to hurt their feelings or put them down.
Right.
You're just engaging in a fun, flirty exchange that helps build rapport and creates a sense of connection.
So it's about using humor to create a sense of intimacy and playfulness.
Exactly.
Rather than using it as a weapon to tear someone down.
Right.
And when done well,
yes,
playful teasing can be incredibly effective at breaking the ice, creating a sense of shared laughter, and building that foundation of comfort and trust.
Absolutely.
This is all so fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see how polarizing can be like a really powerful tool for navigating the complexities of dating.
Absolutely.
By being authentic, expressing our opinions, sharing our passions, and engaging in that playful banter. We're essentially putting ourselves out there and inviting the other person to do the same. And in the process, we're creating an environment where genuine connection can flourish.
I love that.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, from screening and rejection to the power of polarizing. But before we move on,
Okay.
I want to take a moment to address the elephant in the room.
Right.
The goal isn't to manipulate someone or pressure them into liking you.
Right.
It's about creating an environment where you can both be yourselves and see if there's a genuine connection.
So it's about using these techniques as like a framework for understanding attraction dynamics.
Exactly.
Not as a set of rigid rules to be followed blindly.
It's about adapting these principles to your own personality and style, and always prioritize respect and consent.
And remember, authenticity is always the best policy.
It is.
Trying to be someone you're not. Yeah. It's just going to lead to frustration and disappointment.
For both of you.
For both people.
Yeah.
Okay, so
let's talk about those 3 categories Manson uses.
Okay.
Unreceptive, receptive, and then that middle ground, neutral.
It's not a clear yes or no.
Yeah.
How do we like read those signs and figure out how to proceed?
Well, Manson gives a few pointers.
Okay.
Like, let's say you've expressed interest, but you're getting mixed signals.
Okay.
Maybe she agreed to a date, but her texts are short, or she's slow to respond.
Right.
Doesn't mean she's not interested.
Okay.
But it does call for what he calls calibrated escalation.
Okay. Calibrated escalation. Sounds a little intimidating.
It does, right?
Break that down for me.
Okay, so
what does that actually look like in practice?
It's about gradually increasing the intensity of your interactions, but always being respectful and attuned to her responses.
So not going from 0 to 60.
Exactly.
Right away.
Yeah. It's more like testing the waters before jumping in.
Gotcha.
So you start with subtle gestures,
Okay.
like light touches or compliments. See how she responds.
Okay.
If she seems receptive, you can gradually escalate to more intimate conversations or physical touch.
Okay.
But if she seems hesitant or pulls back, that's your cue to slow down and recalibrate.
It's almost like you're having a conversation without words, using body language and subtle cues to kind of gauge her comfort level.
That's a great way to put it.
And interest.
And this is where paying attention to those nonverbal cues becomes so important.
Totally.
Like, is she leaning in when you speak? Is she making eye contact?
Okay.
Is she mirroring your body language?
Interesting.
These are all signs that she's engaged and interested.
So this calibrated escalation thing requires a certain level of, like,
it does,
self-awareness and emotional intelligence.
Absolutely.
We have to be in tune with our own intentions and signals, but also be sensitive to how the other person is receiving them.
It's a dance, not a dictatorship.
I like that.
You're both leading and following, reading each other's cues, and adjusting your steps accordingly.
Okay.
And this is where polarizing can be so helpful.
Even in those early stages.
Even in those early stages.
When you're still trying to get a read on someone.
Yeah, right.
So instead of trying to play it safe and avoid rocking the boat, we should be using those polarizing techniques.
Right.
Like expressing our opinions and sharing our passions.
Yes.
To gauge her reactions and see if there's a genuine spark.
By being authentically, you're giving her the opportunity to either connect with you on a deeper level or to self-select out if your values and interests don't align.
It's like you're saying, this is me, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
But not in a harsh or arrogant way.
Right.
More like an invitation to connect on a genuine level.
Exactly. It's about owning who you are and what you stand for. And trusting that the right people will appreciate that.
This brings us to another point that Manson makes about the importance of moving on. When someone is clearly not interested.
Right.
This is something I think a lot of us struggle with.
Yeah, it's hard.
Especially if we've bought into this idea that we need to like win someone over.
Right, or that persistence always pays off.
Exactly.
It's a common trap.
But it's important to remember that respect and consent are so important.
Yeah.
In any romantic interaction.
Absolutely.
If someone's giving you clear signals that they're not interested, continuing to pursue them is disrespectful, inconsiderate, and ultimately unproductive.
It's like trying to force a flower to bloom before it's ready.
Exactly.
It's got to end well.
And it takes away from the opportunity to connect with someone who is genuinely interested and available.
Right.
Remember, there are plenty of fish in the sea.
So true.
Your time and energy are valuable.
This resonates with me so much.
Yeah.
I think we've all been in situations where we've invested too much time and energy into someone who wasn't reciprocating our feelings.
It happens.
It can be heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But it's also an opportunity to learn and grow.
Absolutely.
It's about recognizing our own worth.
Yes.
And not settling for anything less than a genuine connection.
I love that.
And speaking of genuine connection,
okay,
let's shift gears a bit.
And talk about Manson's critique of the nice guy syndrome.
Okay.
This was something that really resonated with me when I first read Models. And I think it's something that a lot of people, especially men, can relate to.
For sure.
It's almost counterintuitive, right?
It is.
We're often told that being nice is the key.
Yeah, be a nice guy.
To attracting a partner.
Right.
But Manson argues that this can actually backfire.
Interesting.
Especially when it comes to authenticity.
Okay.
And creating genuine attraction.
So what does he say instead?
Well, he makes this point that often when people try to be overly nice or agreeable, they're essentially hiding their true selves.
Interesting.
Behind this mask of pleasantry.
Okay.
They're afraid to express their opinions or set boundaries or disagree with others.
Right.
Because they're afraid of rocking the boat.
Yeah, they want to be liked.
Or being perceived as not nice.
It's like they're trying to be everyone's best friend instead of just being themselves.
Yeah.
While being kind and respectful are obviously important, of course.
Yeah.
There's a difference between being genuinely nice
right.
and being a people pleaser.
Okay, I see the distinction.
Yeah.
So how do we walk that fine line?
Ask the question.
How do we be authentic and true to ourselves without coming across as abrasive or insensitive?
It's all about finding that sweet spot between honesty and compassion.
Okay.
It's about being willing to express your opinions and desires, but doing so in a way that respects the other person.
So it's not about being nice or not nice.
Right.
It's about being authentically yourself.
Yes.
And trusting that the right people will appreciate that.
And that means being willing to sometimes ruffle feathers, disagree with others, and even say no when necessary.
This makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us, especially those who are naturally empathetic, or conflict averse, we fall into the trap of trying to please everyone.
Yeah, we don't want to rock the boat.
And avoid confrontation at all costs.
Yeah.
But what Manson is saying is that this can actually be detrimental to our relationships.
It can.
Especially when it comes to building genuine intimacy and connection.
When we're constantly suppressing our true selves and trying to be someone we're not, it creates a disconnect.
Right.
We're not allowing the other person to really see us.
Yeah.
And we're not giving them the opportunity to connect with us on a deeper, more authentic level.
So instead of trying to be the nice guy who always agrees with everyone and avoids conflict, we should focus on being the authentic version of ourselves.
Yes.
Even if it means sometimes disagreeing or expressing an unpopular opinion.
And it's not about being argumentative or confrontational. It's just about being true to yourself and letting your genuine personality shine through.
Okay, so how do we actually put this into practice?
It's a good question.
What are some practical steps we can take to break free from that nice guy syndrome?
Right.
And embrace authenticity?
It starts with self-awareness.
Okay.
Take some time to reflect on your values, your beliefs, and your boundaries. What's important to you? What are you willing to compromise on?
Yeah.
And what are your non-negotiables?
This is so crucial.
It is.
We can't expect others to respect our boundaries if we don't even know what they are ourselves.
Exactly.
So
once you have a clear understanding of your own needs and values, you can start to communicate them more effectively.
So if someone suggests an activity we're not really into, or if they express an opinion that we strongly disagree with, we shouldn't be afraid to speak up.
You shouldn't.
And respectfully share our perspective.
Exactly. It's all about finding that balance between being true to yourself and being respectful of others.
Yeah.
You can disagree with someone without being disagreeable.
Right. It's about having the courage to be vulnerable and express our true selves.
Right.
Even if it means risking rejection.
Because at the end of the day, it's better to be rejected for who you are than accepted for who you're pretending to be.
That's so powerful.
It is.
This has been such an insightful conversation.
It has.
We've covered so much ground, from screening and polarizing to the importance of embracing rejection and breaking free from that nice guy syndrome.
And I think it highlights the fact that dating, while often challenging and complex, can also be an incredible opportunity for personal growth and self-discovery.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And speaking of self-discovery, I'm curious to delve a little deeper into how societal expectations and gender roles might be influencing our experiences with dating and attraction.
That's an excellent point. And it's something that Manson touches on in his book.
Okay.
You know, we're all bombarded with messages about how we should look, act, and present ourselves, especially in the context of dating.
It's like we're all trying to fit into these predefined boxes that society has created for us. But what happens when those boxes no longer serve us or align with our authentic selves?
That's a great question.
It feels very relevant right now. It's like we're seeing a shift away from those traditional gender roles and relationship dynamics. And with that comes a lot of uncertainty and questioning of the status quo.
We're rewriting the rules of dating in real time.
Exactly.
Which can be both exciting and terrifying.
Totally.
And it's important to remember that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to dating and relationships. What works for one person might not work for another. And that's okay.
Totally.
The key is to find what feels authentic and fulfilling for you.
So how do we navigate this complex landscape of societal expectations and personal desires?
It's a good question.
How do we break free from those limiting beliefs and embrace a more authentic and fulfilling approach to dating?
I think it starts with awareness.
Okay.
We need to become more conscious of the messages we're internalizing about gender roles, relationships, and what it means to be attractive and desirable.
So paying attention to the media we consume, the conversations we engage in, and even the thoughts that run through our own minds.
Exactly.
Once we start to become aware of these influences, we can start to challenge them and create new narratives that align with our values and desires.
It's about questioning those deeply ingrained beliefs about how men and women should behave in romantic contexts and creating space for more fluid and authentic expressions of attraction.
And this involves challenging not only societal expectations, but also our own internalized biases and limiting beliefs. So if we find ourselves feeling pressure to conform to certain gender norms or expectations, it's important to pause and ask ourselves, where is this belief coming from? Is this truly serving me, or is it time to rewrite the script?
That's so good.
This resonates with me so much. I think we've all experienced those moments of feeling like we need to fit into a certain mold or play a certain role in order to be accepted or desired.
It's a common feeling.
But what Manson's work highlights is that true connection and fulfillment come from embracing our authentic selves. Even if that means defying societal expectations.
It's about being true to yourself.
Totally.
And that's a powerful message to embody both in our romantic relationships and in all areas of our lives.
Okay, so we've talked about the importance of self-awareness, challenging societal expectations, and embracing authenticity. But what about those moments when we do experience rejection or setbacks in our dating lives? How do we bounce back from those experiences and maintain a positive and empowered mindset?
That's a great question. And it's something that we'll dive into in more depth in our next segment.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about embracing authenticity and, challenging societal expectations when it comes to dating. But let's be honest, putting yourself out there can be scary.
It can.
And rejection. It's just part of the game.
It is.
How do we deal with those setbacks without losing momentum or letting self-doubt creep in?
It's so important to remember that rejection isn't a reflection of your worth. It just means you weren't the right fit for that particular person at that particular time. Manson talks about developing an abundance mentality.
An abundance mentality. I like the sound of that. Tell me more.
It's the belief that there are plenty of opportunities out there for connection. And that one person's lack of interest doesn't diminish your value or potential.
So instead of dwelling on a single rejection.
Or she should shift our focus to all the possibilities that are still out there.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that every interaction, even the ones that don't lead to a romantic connection, is a learning experience that can help you grow and refine your approach.
Every no is just getting us closer to a yes.
Exactly.
With someone who truly appreciates us.
With someone who's a better fit.
For who we are.
Yes.
That's a great way to reframe it.
And it's also important to remember that attraction is a complex and often unpredictable thing.
Right.
Sometimes it's about chemistry. Sometimes it's about timing. And sometimes it's about factors that are totally out of your control.
So even if we do everything right,
right,
there's no guarantee that someone will be attracted to us.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
The more we can accept that reality, the less personal those rejections will feel.
This is all so helpful.
Good.
I think it's easy to get caught up in the emotional roller coaster of dating.
And lose sight of the bigger picture.
Yeah, you can get caught up in the little things.
But Manson's approach encourages us to, step back, detach from those immediate outcomes, and focus on the journey of self-discovery and personal growth.
I love
that dating can offer.
It's not just about finding a partner. It's about learning about yourself and growing as a person.
It shouldn't feel like a high-stakes game.
Exactly.
Where every interaction is like a make-or-break moment.
It should be fun.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to connect with interesting people, learn about yourself, and explore what you really want in a partner.
I love that perspective.
Yeah.
It takes the pressure off.
For sure.
And allows us to approach dating with a sense of curiosity and playfulness.
Yeah.
Rather than fear and anxiety.
And when we approach dating with that mindset, we're more likely to attract people who are also looking for a genuine connection.
Right.
Rather than someone who's trying to fill a void or validate their own worth.
So to wrap things up, what would you say are the most important takeaways from Manson's approach?
I think the core message is about embracing authenticity, both in how you present yourself and in the partners you seek. It's about getting clear on your values, being willing to express your true self, and not being afraid to polarize, even if it means turning some people off.
And remember, rejection is not a reflection of your worth.
It's not.
It's just part of the process.
It's part of the process.
Of finding the right fit.
Exactly.
Embrace the abundance mentality.
Yes.
And keep putting yourself out there.
You got this.
And finally, remember, that dating should be enjoyable.
It should.
It's an opportunity for adventure, connection, and self-discovery.
Absolutely.
Don't take it too seriously.
Have fun.
Have fun and see where it leads you.
That's great advice.
So to leave our listeners with a final thought.
Okay.
Think about a time you held back from expressing interest or stayed in a situation where you weren't truly wanted.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Knowing what we've talked about today, what could you have done differently?
It's a powerful question.
And as you continue to navigate this world of dating and relationships, remember that the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself.
Beautifully said.
Thanks for joining me in this deep dive.
It was fun.
Until next time, happy dating.
Thanks for tuning in to Sam's Summaries. If you found this episode useful, let us know with a like, follow, and share. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to visit samfury.com to get free access to all of Sam's original summaries, which you can download as PDFs, as well as other exclusive content. It's all completely free at samfury.com.